When it comes to sexual health, there is just so much misinformation out there. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise and get to the essential facts. Because honestly, understanding your own body is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. So let's kick things off with a story that, well, it really shows you just how high the stakes are. A couple, right? They struggled with infertility for 7 years. And the reason? It was a fundamental and frankly, a pretty shocking misunderstanding of basic human anatomy. And look, this isn't just some weird one-off story. It's actually a symptom of a much, much larger problem. There's this widespread gap in fundamental health knowledge, and it affects millions of people. Here's the thing, right? The solution to a whole lot of these challenges isn't some expensive, complicated treatment. Nope, it's often just simple, accurate information. A little bit of knowledge can go a very long way in preventing huge problems down the road. Okay, let's dive into one of the most misunderstood topics out there, fertility. I mean, the myths are endless. So let's start separating what's fact from what's fiction. You hear this all the time, right? In so many cultures, if a couple can't conceive, the blame, the burden, it just lands squarely on the woman. But is that what the science actually tells us? Well, when you actually look at the data, it tells a completely different story. Fertility is a shared issue, plain and simple. The causes are split pretty much 50-50 between male and female factors. It really is a team effort. And what's really fascinating here is how different the factors are for men and women. For men, a huge part of it comes down to lifestyle. Things like diet, smoking, even too much heat can impact sperm quality. But the good news is, sperm production kind of resets every 3 months, so positive changes can make a real difference. For women, it's a bit of a different story. It's more about biology. They're born with all the eggs they'll ever have, and fertility naturally starts to decline, especially after 35. All right, let's switch gears and talk about another area that is just filled with myths and, let's be honest, a lot of anxiety: sexual pleasure and performance. I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The unrealistic stuff we see in media creates this immense pressure and sets people up for confusion and disappointment. What you're seeing on a screen, it's a performance, not reality. We're often sold this idea that it's some kind of magic button or secret technique, which leads to this frantic search for something that might not even be the main event. The real answer is actually much more straightforward. Okay, look at this number. Just let it sink in for a second. This one number, it's a total game changer. So what's the 80%? Well, it's this. Over 80% of women need direct clitoral stimulation to orgasm. Penetration by itself? It's rarely enough. This single fact just debunks countless myths and can relieve a huge amount of performance anxiety for everyone. It shows that for most women, the focus has often been on the wrong thing entirely. And this leads to a really important point. If you reframe the entire experience, if you stop thinking of it as a race to a finish line and instead focus on mutual pleasure and intimacy, it can solve so many common issues. The pressure just melts away and it becomes about connection, not just a conclusion. You know what happens when there's insecurity and a lack of knowledge, right? A whole marketplace of gimmicks pops up. So let's take a look at what you should definitely avoid, because these products, they often do way more harm than good. These products you see here, they're basically designed to prey on insecurities that are fueled by all this misinformation. And they're not just ineffective, they can be dangerous. For instance, those special washes can totally disrupt the body's natural pH balance, which can lead to infections. And any creams or pills promising to, physically change things, they're simply not based in science. And this is a perfect, almost unbelievable example of a product doing the exact opposite of what it promises. Some of these so-called lightening creams have harsh bleaching agents that can trigger an immune response, actually causing the skin to get even darker. It's a stark reminder to trust science, not marketing. Okay, so we've talked about fertility, we've talked about pleasure, about these harmful products. What's the one thing that connects all of this? What's the real solution here? Well, the answer is something called body literacy. It's more than just old school sex ed. It's about a deeper, real understanding of your own body, how it works, what it needs. This knowledge is the foundation for better health, better intimacy, and for preventing problems before they even start. So, what does that actually mean? What does body literacy look like in the real world? Well, it breaks down into some really simple, practical steps that protect you and your partners. These aren't complicated, but they are absolutely crucial. And here's a really critical point that honestly gets overlooked way too often. Unprotected oral sex can lead to very serious health issues, like certain types of throat cancer from infections like HPV. Protection isn't just about preventing pregnancy, it's about your total health. Using a barrier is always, always the safest bet.
And, part of being body literate is also understanding your legal rights. Knowing the actual facts about reproductive health laws removes fear, it prevents people from being exploited, and it empowers you to make your own decisions about your own health on your own terms.
So at the end of the day, our bodies aren't some big mystery. And this conversation, it shouldn't be taboo at all. It should be as normal as talking about any other part of our health. Because knowing your body isn't just about being healthy. It's about self-respect. It's about empowerment. So the question is, are we ready to really listen to what our bodies are telling us?